Hello. Hello. Hi, Lakshman. Hi.
Like,
Hi. So anyone else is joining here or we can start?
Varun, hi Kiran.
Sai Kiran is on leave.
Okay, Varun.
So Varun, I guess he should join, I guess. Let me call him.
Yeah.
I called him but on Teams.
Ah,
He's joined. He joined.
okay, joined, right? Cool.
Yes.
Uh, yeah. So Varun, why Lalit is calling?
Sir.
Lalit is calling.
Yeah, now he is ready to attend our session, sir.
Now,
Just now he came out of the room and asked me to connect the slash meeting.
okay. You just take some 30 minutes time. We'll join there. We'll finish off this and we'll join there.
No, sir.
Just 30 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Shakti, Satish is also calling.
Yes, boss. I'm going to call him.
You call him.
That's why.
I'll
Yes.
drop in call. Okay. So team, with the current members that we have, Vetri, Kamal and Varun. So, so this call will be a final call for the desktop central navigation or the endpoint management navigation that we saw in the last couple of sessions. So we saw some 5 to 6 modules of endpoint management, right? Discovery, inventory, patch operations, software operations, configurations, tools operations, and all, right? So besides that, right, let me share my screen also. So besides that, those 5 to 6 operations that we saw in the last sessions are very basic in all the endpoint management tools that we see in the market today, right? Besides those 5 to 6 operations that we do, there are few other operations which can be taken on an advanced level from the same concept called endpoint management, but it is on an advanced level. It is on a security level, right? You can take the context as security level. First thing is the vulnerability management. What is vulnerability? What is OS vulnerability or what is application vulnerability? Any loophole to your OS is vulnerability. Any loophole to your application is vulnerability, right? So in a normal security language, that is termed as vulnerability. But for our understanding, some issue in that OS, some loophole for an entry to that OS or to that application is termed as vulnerability for our understanding, right? So that is called as vulnerability management in Endpoint Manager Plus that we are seeing today. That is first thing. We already have our agent residing on the user PC on your laptop. So the same agent is going to perform all the operations. It is also going to give us the vulnerability information of your OS and the applications which are hosted on top of the OS and the configuration of your system, right? So if everything is good, well conditioned, it will give you as good. If there is some vulnerabilities that are detected with the OS or with the application or with the configuration or with the ports, services and all, it is going to throw you the information here. How it is going to detect that is something, analyzer, which is inbuiltly available in the agent on the application. Via that agent, the application will scan and capture that information, right? As we see here on the dashboard, it is showing some total vulnerabilities as 170. Fixable vulnerabilities are 34, which can be fixed with some remediation actions that we will be seeing when we click on these 34. Vulnerabilities with manual resolution. So what is that manual resolution? Also, it is going to give us, we can have a look of that and apply those configurations manually onto those systems. Manually meaning not going to the user PCs and doing it. In the form of configurations, we can push it from the console, right? And with respect to severity of that vulnerability, we are here. Critical vulnerabilities are this. Moderate is 16, important are 28. So in total, we have around 170, yeah? Yeah, approximately. So those number of vulnerabilities we have. And with respect to the age, how many vulnerabilities are detected in the last 90 days, last 60 to 90 days, last 30 days, less than 30 days, with respect to the priority is a table that we have. And some security information is also we see here. What are all the vulnerabilities and vulnerability fixes that are released by the respective vendors is what we see here on this latest news. As a security person, I can have a look of these security news before customer realizes. I can look into this. I myself can prior update to the customer based on his confirmation. I can roll out these vulnerabilities on the network. So this is going to be instantaneous as and when Microsoft is releasing some update, as and when Oracle is releasing some update, as and when Google is releasing some vulnerability fix, it will be seen here in the very next second. We can have an action by looking into these news instead of referring the forums on the backend, which is time consumption. Right? And you have some high priority vulnerabilities and vulnerable softwares with some insights of those vulnerabilities for our quick reference and viewpoint of view. Right? And the similar will be with respect to system configuration or security configuration. That is, your firewall, a BitLocker, Windows Defender, antivirus, so on and so forth. How many computers are with that misconfigurations, fixable misconfigurations, fixable with the help of GPO, fixable with web server communication. So all is just ready-made. For us, with our very basic knowledge, if we have what this vulnerability is, we can directly click on those and take an action from there directly. Similarly, with respect to the systems, how many managed systems are there? How many vulnerable systems are there? Highly vulnerable, and healthy systems. And this is with respect to the patches that we saw for patch management, right? Now, when it is showing as fixable vulnerabilities 34 here, I can click on the 34. It is going to give me some vulnerability information. It might come with a fix like this. It might not come with a fix like that, right? So I can just have a look. What is the score? And each vulnerability we have, it has its own score, which is not under control by us, not under control by the customer. It is something derived by the respective OEM itself. That is Microsoft, if it is Microsoft vulnerability, XYZ, if it is XYZ vulnerability. And this is a patch activity, which is going as a patch availability and the release date, which is March 12th. I can simply go ahead, do a check of this and click on install. Simple. To fix this vulnerability onto the respective Windows 8 operating system. Then a similar way, you'll have all these vulnerabilities showing up here. We can have a look and just go ahead, do a verification and proceed to install. If it is a patch. And with respect to the other detected CVEs, which is showing up, you'll have a similar operation like this with a recommended, fix against each of those. We can just have a look, verify that, select it and click on apply. So the apply button will be there where we can select the respective options and click on apply. So that one click apply is not getting enabled. You have fixed CVE, right? So this fixed CVE will give you the operation that we can perform on this particular vulnerability or this particular CVE, what all it has inside it. Right? So this is the remediation which is recommending automatically. Similarly, zero-day vulnerabilities. Mostly for OS, we'll see that zero-day vulnerabilities, right? So what are those zero-day vulnerabilities? It's a detailed description affecting which OS, which bit version and all. And you have a fix action against that. So we can just click on this fix. It will automatically get implied on these two affected systems. System misconfigurations. So you have fix for each of that. Windows firewall disable, antivirus, web pages, user control, TLS configuration, telnet client, so on and so forth, right? You can just go ahead and click on fix. It is going to apply onto the respective affected computers which are here. What are those high risk software with respect to end of life? From an organization practice point of view, from a compliance practice point of view, we should not be running EOL licenses, EOL softwares at our organization. So this is giving a list of us with the respect to a number of computers. We can target those and take a call what to do on those softwares. The remote sharing is again an open vulnerability. We need to have a tight security for that. If you have a tight security for that remote sharing, well, good. If not, you can take a call to remove them. Web server configuration, which is for your all incoming, outgoing internet, intranet communication, right? So you have access to your domain, access to web content, advertise server built date, server string date, so on and so forth. So for these as well, it is giving you some resolution. So when you click on this resolution, it is asking us to provide some scripting on the backend. So we can also have a look of this, apply these remediations manually in the form of a script from a configuration. Port level audit. So what are the ports which are there available, which are listening, what type of port, and how many instances of each port is also given here for us to give a view for a chances of vulnerability so that we can take a call when something is prone to happen tomorrow. And some exceptions as per our regular usage. So all this revolving around vulnerability management, sorry, vulnerabilities from vulnerability management module is nothing but a complete end-to-end security operations that we do on OS and the applications which are posted on top of the OS and the server configuration and the port configuration and the services and the processes. All we can do a view visualization and manage from here, right? This will go in hand to patch management. That is the reason it is giving you this threats and patches as one. Initially, only patch management was here and vulnerability management was separately available under this dropdown. As both are revolving around similar operations, it is combined and showing as under one menu. Right? So with this patch management and with that vulnerability management, at the end, I would like to see what is the compliance metering or compliance rating of my organization, right? So that you'll be able to see from this compliance. What is the compliance policy that you have? You have ISO, you have GDPR, you have FISMA, you have SOX, SOC 2, so on and so forth. You can add your compliance regulatory here. And basis on that compliance regulatory, you can enable those attributes that are taken into your organization. Basis on that attributes, basis on the threat management and basis on the patch management, it is going to give you that ratio. So each policy that you see, which are defaultly available, has some rules on the right hand side, right? 290, 250, 300, so on and so forth. Each rule has its own attributes. Those rules might be taken by your organization practices or might not be taken. You can have a look of this, what are all applicable to you, you can enable, and you can have a visualization compliance check as per those rules. Defender policy, audit policy, administrator templates computers by user. So like that, many things will be there for us to have a view. Probably a system admin will have a more visualization on this, not us. So we can sit with them, understand what are the attributes that they have signed up, and accordingly they can take a call with respect to this compliance check as well. Right? That is vulnerability management and compliance. The next thing that we have is MDM. So before MDM, let us cover this OS management. So all the operations that we have seen so far in the last couple of sessions and today till now is on top of the OS, right? When we are able to do a management on top of the OS, why can't we do a management of the OS also is a question, right? Yes, that should also be a question. For a bigger organization like TCS, for a bigger organization like Infosys, for a bigger organization like GMR, right? Bigger organization where there is thousands of users sitting and working, and there is hundreds of users coming in, going out from a recruitment and releasing from the organization day in, day out, or frequently, right? So in those scenarios, for an admin like us or for a technician like us, creating a system, booting up the system and preparing a system manually with the CD or with the drive will be tedious. Probably in a day, how many you'll be able to do it? One system in an hour or two systems in an hour, maximum 8 to 10 systems you'll be able to prepare in a day. When there is a requirement coming for hundreds of systems in a day, how you will do it? Mass deployment. You cannot do it manually, right? So you need to think of some automation where you'll be able to do that automatically just by pushing some action or triggering some button on the backend, right? So that you'll be able to accomplish with this OS deployment module that we have. Now, the primary requirement for this OS deployment module is, firstly, we need to have an image. That image we can create from this OS deployment itself. We already have our systems detected with the agents, and those systems are already showing up on the screen here. So I select some computer, Windows or a Mac or a Linux. I fetch the partition details. With that, I'll be able to create an image with the drivers, only OS or OS and the drivers separately. And that image that we are going to copy will be stored in your image repository that we have here, right? And this image that we have it recorded on the console, right? We can push it to the user PC. Making use of this deploy image, I can deploy the image to the user PC. Now, two things. I guess you should ask a question. Number one, I will be able to deploy to a user PC. I said user PC. I have a PC which is already running. Will I be able to do a OS installation on that PC? Yes, you can do it. I'm running Windows 10 and you're wanting to take it to me on Windows 11. You can do that. That is, when you know the user, when you know the system IP address, when you know the system MAC address, you will be able to target that one Lakshman only and have the upgradation taken to the next operating system or next build version, right? So you define the target there. The remote office is what you have. This is going to be the image 2 with the OS, that is Windows 10, for example, here. Post deployment actions like this, where you want to have it installed, which work group, which profile and all. And there you take this local office from where the image will be pushed out. Go next, deployment. Where and all the computers I am wanting to push this image. So I'm adding the computers manually one by one or from a CSV file where the MAC address and IP address is required. So this IP address will be seen when the user is known, when the IP is known, which means already some OS is running, right? and we are going to reinstall the OS, or we are going to upgrade the OS, or the OS is crashed and we are going to reinstall the OS. Those cases. Now the other side, a bare metal, which is just unboxed from the packet. It is there on your desktop. It is just connected to the network, as there is no drivers installed, no OS installed. The NIC card is not detected. There is no IP address known, but you still have the MAC address. So using the MAC address, you can push the deployments onto the respective targets with some BIOS configuration, and those will be taken towards installation, scheduled deployment, one time or daily or weekly, monthly. If it is one time, you schedule at what time it has to be done and go for pushing it. So as simple as that, like how you did threads, patch management, software management, configuration management, it's the same way that you do for the OS management as well, creating the image, storing it in the repository, from the repository, pushing it to the respective targets. And that is a scheduled activity, yeah? Not an on-demand activity. Right? So the various permutation and combinations will come into picture here. Like as an operating system, sorry, as an organization, what we do is when we give a laptop to a new user of our company, for example, what all we do? We install the OS, we install the Teams application, we install the Outlook client, right? We install the Desktop Central agent, we install the CrowdStrike agent. So these 5 things are preliminary things which every user, irrespective of their role, work, and designation, we need to have it given for everyone, right? So in that case, when we feel or think that these 5 are mandate for everyone, I can create one image with all these 5 operations, 5 applications as one, and have it in my repository. And that we can target to all the users of the organization. That is one way. Another way is I am a part of sales. So I need to have my ERP application running. I need to have my CRM application running, right? So besides these 5 operations, 5 applications, for the sales department alone, we can have the 6th application as ERP, 7th application as CRM. Create as one package, push it to the sales team alone. So that way, we can have multiple such images with multiple combinations stored, and we can target that image with respect to their work. And at some point of time, uh, uh, we have Shakti sitting in Tirupur office, right? Where communication is not good, internet communication is also not good. And we need to have a control, or we need to have a configuration of the system as per our practices. So what we do is the image that we have created, we create that in the form of a bootable media, right? And that bootable media will take it to a pen drive or a CD-ROM or something like that, and we'll share that ISO drive, ISO file in the form of a drive or bootable information and ship it to Shakti. Shakti can then put that drive or a USB into his PC, and with our guidance, he'll be able to do it. So that way, with the standard configuration that we wanted to follow from the organization practices, we can also ship the image information in the form of a media as well, is what you do on this create bootable media. Right? So as simple as that, that is the OS deployment, primarily what you do. Besides that, you see some other options as well on the left-hand side menu. So when you are accessing this console, accessing this menu of OS deployment, I would request you to run through those and check out what each menu does. Right? That is OS. Then we have the next thing as MDM here. The name itself says mobile device management. Vetri is aware of this. So we are able to manage the OS from the OS management. We are able to do the management on top of the OS from patch management, software management, configurations, inventory, and tools, which are all your OS instances, like your laptops, your desktops, your servers, your virtual platform, and all, which are all company driven devices, right? On the other side, to carry our operations, right? Companies are giving mobility devices as well to the users today in the latest trend since last 5 to 10 years, right? Like mobile phones, tablets, latest operating system gadgets like Windows 10, Windows 11, Chromebooks, so on and so forth. As a part of the organization practice, it is their compliance to do a track visibility monitoring management of those devices as well, because they are given by company, so they have to manage it. If their users are using their own devices towards official purpose to carry the official job, official activities from morning 9 till evening 6, the salespeople, right? So what they are doing, where they are going, what kind of data is coming in, going out is also a part of compliance, which organization have to practice, have to track. So all that activities will be able to do it from this mobile device management on the mobility devices. What all we have? Android devices, your iOS devices, your Chromebooks, your tablets, your laptops with latest operating systems, right? So to do that, first what we do is we enroll the devices. That is step number one. Like how we do a discovery of the devices in Desktop Central, here we do an enrollment of the devices. Enrollment of the devices has its own process, its own approach for iOS, that is Apple, its own process for Android, its own process for Windows, its own process for Chromebooks as well. So using these options which are underneath each of the OS category, we have to first primarily enroll the devices, enroll the respective users to those devices, which is again going to be an agent-based communication. Once that is done, we will be able to have a clear visibility of the inventory that is running in that device, like what OS version, which network you are connecting, which network IP address is given to you, what is the CNN number, what is your UDID number, what is the disk space, what is the make, model, so on and so forth, right? So you see here, right? OS version, build version, security, passcode enabled, storage encryption, Google Pay protected, workspace security, memory usage, the Bluetooth, the Wi-Fi, the roaming profile, the phone number, Nexus, Motorola, device information like this. So all the insights, what all we have in the device, right, will be showing up for us for a clear view. What are all the apps which the user has installed and that are running? If any custom certificates are installed, the certificate information. If any restrictions are already applied on the system, on that laptop, sorry, on that mobile device you see here. If geo tracking is enabled, we'll have the recent geo track information seen here. So these are all the inventory information that you'll be able to see. And if you want to do a scan of the device to do a current information that is running in the device, you come to scan devices and do a scan of the device manually on demand at that point in time, or a scheduled scan that you can do at a frequency. Geo tracking information to see where the user is sitting. Um, we see Tiago sitting in Chennai office, right? Tiago says that he's going to a customer call that is Spineless. And to see if Tiago is really going to customer premises Spinebase, how we will know, right? If we are giving him a device with geo-tracking enabled under MDM control, we can track where and all he's traveling in that time interval. So it will show the longitudes and latitudes geolocation of the space at what timestamp he was there, right? So that level of tracking information as well we can do for all the devices or for a selected group of devices that we wanted to monitor keenly. Battery level tracking as well, right? Once you have all this initial inventory information like this, then is what you come out for management. What kind of management? I will see profile management. I will see data management. I will see app management. I will see email management. So these are some examples that we generally see and heard from the customers. So in a similar way, we can do many such management operations as we see here on the left-hand side menu and track it. The first thing is groups and devices. We can group similar devices as one or similar expertise devices as one with respect to devices or with respect to users as one here. There's just grouping of users or grouping of devices is what you see. Then comes your profiles. Here is where you do a profile management and then push the policy to the respect to groups or respect to users, iOS or Android and so on and so forth. It is going to give you all password level restriction, what all you want to do it. You can apply here. Fingerprint enable, disable, face scanning enable, disable, iris enable, disable. Similarly, restrictions like camera, Bluetooth, browser, application, security, display, voice, tethering, workspace security. So the menus are here, right? So referring to these menus, what all the restrictions management that you want to apply, you can configure, apply all those and save this as a profile. Once you save this as a profile, then you'll be able to deploy this profile onto the respect to targets. You see here, right? Profile name, associated groups to whom and all it is given applied, associated devices. Publish profile, right? You can go to publish and there you'll be able to select to which user or which group that you're wanting to publish that. That is in general what you do from a management point of view. And for instance, if you feel or think that device is lost, you have given one device to Raghu, and Raghu was keep traveling from Chennai to Tirupur and Tirupur to Chennai. Somewhere on travel, he forgot the device in the bus and he is lost. But there is, because Raghu being the operational manager of the organization, there is much more vital information, critical information, important information with respect to accounting on his mobile. If anyone is trying to steal it, it is going to be a loss for us. So what we can do is whenever the device is going out of reach or whenever the device is going out of control of our fence, that is our boundary, what you want to perform? I say wipe off the complete data. So that wipe off of complete data can be created and associated. Complete wipe plus SD card. So what all we want to do as an action there in case of lost or theft, we can clear the data. If the mobile phone is lost also well good, but the data in the mobile phone should not be seen by anyone is a context from a security point of view. So that way we can wipe off the data if the device is lost. Right. And you also will be able to do a detailed audit from an operations point of view. Right. So that is a simple view of MDM. Yeah. Okay. And this is device control, which is going to be a partial activity that you trigger from your firewall. So what kind of control that you do on the devices is a question here. So this is a dashboard and you see some insights of your computers. The computers which are already detected with the agents from the desktop central operations, the same computers will be seeing here. Name of the computer, the domain, the OS, and what kind of policies which are applied and what kind of policies which are associated. Now, what is the insights I'm getting here is what you wanted to understand. So you can click there. You can click on policies, block removable storage devices. So that USB devices is what we saw under configurations yesterday, right? So a similar one in detailed manner is what you'll be able to do it from this policy that you have. So this is not only one policy, many such policies you can apply for any kind of input output operation along with the OS on your computer. Device audit. Which user, which device, which type, what time they have connected, so on and so forth. Any kind of file accessing, file sharing and all is been happening from that computer. File shadowing, that is sharing. Device manager level view as well, you'll be able to see here. Device summary by computer, by type, CD-ROM, how many are there? Portable devices, how many are there? Apple devices, how many are there? Printers, how many are there? So on and so forth. Those many devices which are connected, you'll have a list of those. From these insights, what kind of policies that you can manage is what you do from these policies. I'll go create a policy for Windows. Removable storage, change, allow, trusted, block. If I want to block completely, I'll block completely. If I want to allow a few, I'll allow a few. CD-ROM, portable devices, Apple devices, printers. If not all this configuration, only audit is what you wanted to do it, you can enable only the audit and throw that as a notification, custom notification to the respective mailbox. So these kind of policies with respect to any kind of input output operation that can be performed, seen along with the OS on the computer is what you'll be able to do it in detail from device control. That is what I said. It is going to be a partial firewall for your OS and the respective reporting on it. Right? Browsers. Right. So browsers, what it does here is, as the name itself says, browsers. Simpler. When we are able to do a management of the patches, softwares and configurations, OS and mobile devices, why can't we do a management of the browsers in detail is a question. But why should you do? What is the requirement? Can someone answer that? Why exactly we have to do a management of the browsers? What is the reason behind that? Can anyone guess? Okay, so the reason is the first thing that we talk today is something on vulnerability, right? How a vulnerability is coming into your computer. How is that coming? It is coming from a browser. You know that. If you do not know, please make a note of this point. The main source of vulnerability entering into a computer first is via browser only. Okay, that is where the browser management is also important besides the other endpoint management operations that anyone does in their organization. Right? Browser has two things: add-ons, plugins, sorry, extensions and plugins. The more extensions you have on your browser, the more vulnerable is your computer. the more add-ons, plugins you have on your browser, the more vulnerable is your computer. Simple funda, right? So those extensions, those plugins that you have on your browser, if it is really required for your daily operations that you do at work, personal, it is different. But at work, if it is really important, you need to manage those add-ons, you need to manage those plugins, you need to manage those extensions as well in the right format as per the organization practices. That is the main funda of this browser management module that you see here. Okay. Now again, starting with insights. Insights, nothing but already from the desktop central, we have an agent running on computers, right? So the agent which is running on my computer will be detected here, shown here automatically. What kind of browsers are there? How many plugins are there? How many extensions are there on my computer? I'll be getting a detailed view here. What are all the browsers I have? I have Edge, IE, Chrome, and Chromium. These are the browsers, and the respective versions of these browsers also I have from an inventory point of view. How many plugins I have? I have 5 plugins. These are all the plugins which are available. Web activity. What kind of websites hits are happening to the respective domains from my PC, from each of the browser is also being recorded here. So be sure when you're having browser security on your computer. Extensions. How many extensions are there? What is the version of each of the extension you'll be seeing here? And then you have some settings which are restricted as per your internet settings or Chrome settings or Edge settings or proxy settings that are already applied on your computer, right? This is going to be insights. This is one time. This is coming up when the agent is there. If you want to scan the computer, get the current information that is running on the computer, you can do a scan like this. If you want to go for a browser scan, schedule scan, you can go for a schedule scan as well and have that information recorded at a regular intervals. So that way, you will be having the complete insights from a browser point of view of your PC. Clear? That is point number 1. Now you have all the data available. Now you see, what are all the expired extensions are there? What are all the outdated plugins are there in your computer? What are all the, old versions of browsers are there on a computer? Now you can do a management of those plugins. You can do a management of those add-ons, those extensions, those browser versions to the latest version so that the vulnerability can be prevented from entry via the browser into the computer. So that management you can do from this Manage tab. Sorry, yeah. From policies, you first create a policy, then you go to manage and push the policy to the respective computers. So Google Chrome, allow user to install extensions. Yes, no, you can put a restriction. Blacklist extensions. You already know few of the extensions are, recorded as vulnerable extensions in the market. From the security news, you can add those. Navigate message permission, allow, disallow. Allow users to run Adobe Flash because Adobe Flash is also going to be an entry for your vulnerability. You can put a restriction there. You can save like that. Similarly for IE, similarly for Firefox, similarly for Edge, you can do push some restriction and save as a policy, right? Similarly, the files that you're downloading from the browser, that also there is a possibility of vulnerability. So you can put a filter of that from the download filter. Threat prevention, you can put a filter. Data leak, browser customization, what kind of customization that you want to do on the browser is what you do here. Browser router, nothing but a proxy. Browser lockdown, Java, most of the browsers, older browsers, right, that were running earlier before Windows 8, I guess, to have the clear visibility or correct access of browsing, Java was required. Now all is coming with the OS. So it is not asking for us to update the Java along with the browser. So in case still, if you want to have the respective version of Java to be enabled and running along with the browsers at your organization as per your organization practice as a unique version across all the users, you can make use and push it as a Java as well. What to be allowed, what not to be allowed. Nothing but um, Internet Explorer, intranet websites need to be allowed, which means apart from intranet websites, the other websites will be disallowed on Internet Explorer, right? Similarly, airtel.com need to be open on Chrome. LinkedIn need to be allowed for only the salespeople and the HR team, right? There are a few examples. So making of these examples, you can do a filter and restrictions on the websites which are running, which are being used by the users on the computer. Web isolation, browser restriction, all this. All the operations that you want to do, you can create policies referring these menus on the left-hand side and push it to the respective computers or respective groups from this associate policy. And with this browser management that you do, you can also derive the compliance as we saw for your vulnerability management. As you see here, CTGI, 3 computers are compliant, non-compliant, which is 0%. If 3 computers are compliant out of 3 computers, then it is 100%, right? So why those 3 computers are non-compliant is what we can have a look. These are the computers. So 3 computers are vulnerable. What is that vulnerability and all is a non-compliant configuration. So what is that configuration in each of the computer? We can see it here. Have a look and deploy those configurations as well onto the computers. All website level only, threat level, not being enabled. Third-party cookies not being restricted. Google data synchronization not being disabled. So all these remediations are coming up by default from the standard that we have CGI compliance. So in the similar way, we can also create our custom compliance policy as per our organization, like ISO, GDPR, FISMA, SOX, and all the standard regulatories that we have. And we can create a policy and have the recording metering done on top of it. This is also very simple. And the next thing comes here is app control, application control. Okay. Now take a minute back. You remember on the first session or the second session, we were running through this inventory module, and I was talking to you on these prohibit software and block executable, right? This prohibit software block executable here under inventory was on an overview point of view, general. My requirement is in detail with multiple combination and permutations. That is this application control. You have a clear visibility of what need to be whitelisted. You have a clear visibility of what need to be blacklisted from the entire inventory of applications which are already detected at your organization with vendor, with name, with file type, or with file hash, or with executable as well. So you can create a whitelisting package or a blacklisted package. Whitelisting meaning what need to be allowed in my organization to be run. Blacklisted meaning what need to be restricted in my organization to be run. Meaning when I'm creating a whitelisting policy, any to any other thing apart from whitelisted is defaultly taken as blacklisted. Example, I'm detecting some thousands of softwares from the organization, right? In the thousands of softwares, I say only 50 are legitimate, approved by the organization. So those 50 I'll add here under whitelist, which means the other 950 are by defaultly considered as blacklisted, not allowed. That is one case. Opposite side. What I am saying is, as per my organization practice, these 10 softwares are not allowed, completely restricted, which means I'll create a blacklisted policy with those 10 software entries, save it. Meaning this 10 will be restricted. Apart from this 10, the other 990 will be defaultly allowed for everyone. That is the vice versa combination that we can create here, which is in detail. Once you create that whitelisted, blacklisted policy, you will be able to deploy that as a package onto the respective computers. Custom group, hello browser is a policy that you have. Block media is a policy, block RDP is a policy, developer node. So you have multiple such policies that you are creating, right? So you select the respective policy, associate privileged application list. Now here is what you need to be keen. Audit mode or strict mode. Audit mode is except blacklisted applications, all other applications will be allowed to run. This will allow you to audit the gray listed application usage and redefine your whitelist blacklist software. And this is the normal recommended option to be taken, that is audit mode. Strict mode, enforce strict mode if you need to run only the whitelisted applications. So this context, what you see, and the operation that is going to happen when you select strict mode is something abnormal. So I strongly recommend not to go with strict mode. Instead, go with this audit mode only. And with some notification to the user that you're accessing an AnyDesk TeamViewer, some uTorrent and all in your computer, and that is restricted by the administrator. And you create and save a policy and deploy. And this deploy will not be an on-demand deployment. It will be a next synchronization deployment only. That is the next 90th minute. Okay. And the clear visibility of what are all those number of policies which are created, number of deployments which are done, what are all the gray listed applications, white listed applications and all. From a visibility point of view, you see here. And the last one is BitLocker. Everyone should be knowing BitLocker, what it is. On the latest operating system from Windows 10 and above, right? Windows 10 and Windows 11, BitLocker is coming up as a security and along with an encryption on the OS, along with the OS from a security point of view to manage the data. Where you'll have the BitLocker, it will be applicable where? Again, the same agent which was running from the desktop central here, the computers will be discovered showing up on the console here. You see the computer and you will see what is the BitLocker status on each of the drive. C drive, D drive, E drive, F, J, K, the number of drives that you have, you'll have all the drives inventory like this and the respective status of encryption, fully encrypted or fully decrypted. And some attributes like this. If any policy is associated from the BitLocker management module to this computer, that will be showing up here. Encryption status is fully decrypted. PPM status is available 1.3. Manufacturer is this. Now here, This is from an inventory point of view that we see all computers. You want to do a management of BitLocker manually for all the computers that are there discovered on the compute on this console from an organization practice point of view, that you want to have it unique for all. That is number one. Number two is you also want to have a recovery key of that on the same console, so that tomorrow in case of data lost or data theft, not theft, but data loss, you will be able to retrieve the data from that drive with the help of that recovery key. Normally, what is happening today is the recovery key is a manual 16 to 30 digit number, sorry, 16 to 20 digit number, which is given to the administrator who is aware of that BitLocker management. There is every possibility of they storing on the mails, which is vulnerable. They're storing on their phones, which is vulnerable. They're storing on their notepad, which is vulnerable. So in that case, of a security visibility point of view, it is not recommended to take that key outside. So what we do is, as we are wanting to have a management of that BitLocker from here on the console, where we have an inventory, we will also be storing that recovery key as well here itself in an encrypted format, right? That encrypted format, whenever we wanted to apply, we can apply it and then take it towards retrieving the data. You create a policy like this with drive encryption or without drive encryption with mod mode. What exactly this TPM does, probably a sysadmin will be able to give a more view. Encrypt OS only, encrypt OS and the used space is an option here. Users allowed to postpone restart, update recovery key to domain controller, periodic rotation of recovery key, so on and so forth, and you can publish it. Simple. And you deploy that policy to the respective targets. Which computers, which policy, deploy immediate on demand. So that way we will be able to do a BitLocker enablement management from the console from an organization practice point of view centrally, as we want to apply for all the computers as a mandate. The users cannot skip it. And the respective recovery key is also available here only, that we can see it and take it towards remediation and retrieving the data in case of lost or in case of crash. Normally, when the drive is getting corrupted or crash, you take it to the this thing, right? The store, how they retrieve the data. This is what they'll help out. They'll ask multiple questions. So based on that multiple questions, they'll retrieve some numbering like this. And with that, we'll be able to get the data and give it to us. So instead of paying to the vendors and taking the data which is prone to vulnerability, when we have this BitLocker management module at ourselves, we ourselves can do this enablement management on the encryption on the drives and also retrieve whenever it is required. That is BitLocker management. Simpler, only for Windows 10 and 11, the latest OS. And lastly, you have your reports. At the end, everyone will be keen to have a look of reports, right? So predefined reporting option is available across modules that we have seen so far. What all the data that we wanted to see, what all the data that we wanted to schedule, what all the data that we wanted to create customly as per our choice or query as per our choice. The options are available in all the tools, all the endpoint management tools that you see in the market, which is very much general. We can export, we can create, we can publish to the dashboards and play around. Right. So with that note, we close the call today, and that's the end for the endpoint management context. Right. So with that initial note of what we discussed today, right, on all the modules, that is OS deployment, vulnerability management, MDM, device control, browser, app control, and BitLocker management. I would request everyone to have a detailed view on Google on the Desktop Central website. You have some 30 minutes to 1 hour video of each of these modules separately. So you have a view of that. It is going to give you a detailed navigation of multiple scenarios of how the policies can be configured and all. Just have a look. So the context, what we discussed today and the video that you will be seeing, you will be getting more familiarized on the configuration point of view, right? So with that, I guess you should be able to be ready to undergo the initial entry certification for endpoint management from Manage Engine and also any other endpoint management tool that you see in the market, which is going to be the similar navigation. Nomenclature will differ, but concept is same, right? So that's the context which I wanted to give it to you. So any questions, probably you can put forward there.
Lakshman, I have no questions. I have a meeting at 6, Lakshman.
You can leave,
Okay.
leave,
Thank
yes.
you. Thank
So
you,
we'll
Lakshman.
continue with the SDP module tomorrow onwards. So Kamal,
Okay,
you
Lakshman.
ensure that you are available. It will be
Yes.
required for you,
Yes, Lakshman. I will be available, Lakshman.
right? Okay, take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Lakshman.
So
Bye.
yeah, bye. Vetri, any questions from your side?
No, sir. I will check with something. So I have to install and check with that. After that, I have to ask the question, sir.
Okay.
I check with.
Varun? Varun, any questions from your side?
Sorry. No, sir. As of now, what you have told is everything clear. But BitLocker, it is little strange to me. I need to go through that.
Okay, you have a video recording of that on the website. Have a look
Okay.
of that. Any questions, just let us know.
Yeah, just now Lalit, he came to me and regarding that I had, sir.
Hmm.
He came to me and he just asked me to deploy. Since Amar just messaged me about the status, he is asking me regarding the patch deployment. Amar. So Lalit asked me to deploy. I asked whether he have enabled all the restrictions or not. He told that all the restrictions I have enabled just to go for the deployment action.
Okay,
And
okay.
also this night he asked me to leave only after completion of session with SAS fittings.
Okay, you start the deployment, we'll see.
Okay, sir. But I'm not sure whether he have approved or not. Alcargo అయితే స్టార్ట్ చేస్తాను సార్ యాజ్ ఆఫ్ నో ఐ స్టార్ట్ డూయింగ్ ఇన్ ఆల్కార్గో
రెండు చూడు ఎందుకంటే ఇప్పుడు పర్మిషన్స్ అన్ని ఎనేబుల్ చేసిన అంటున్నాడు కదా సో అక్కడ స్టార్ట్ చేయి ఇక్కడ కూడా స్టార్ట్ చేయి జస్ట్ రీఫ్రెష్ అవుతూ ఉండని ఎన్ని సక్సెస్ఫుల్ అవుతున్నాయి ఏంది అనేది ఒక కరెక్ట్ కౌంట్ వస్తుంది కదా అంటే సక్సెస్ఫుల్ రేంజ్కి వస్తుంది కదా
ఓకే
కౌంట్ ఇంక్రీజ్ గ్రాడ్యువల్ ఇంక్రీజ్ అవుతుంది అంటే సక్సెస్ఫుల్ అవుతున్నట్టే సో అప్పుడు యూ కెన్ టెల్ హిమ్ అండ్ యూ టెల్ హిమ్ దట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ నౌ యూ సీ ది స్టేటస్ అండ్ ప్రాబ్లీ అప్పుడు యూ కెన్ స్టార్ట్ అవుట్
మీటింగ్ సార్ వాట్ అబౌట్ మీటింగ్
మీటింగ్ ఒక 10 minutes లో జాయిన్ అవుదాం జస్ట్ 10 minutes. Shakti, anything that you want to add there?
For desktop central, nothing, but we wants to discuss. Vitri, you can leave, Vitri.
Yes.
But these two person is not interested. And today we have one interview, tomorrow two. Okay. This is very good person. I mean, as of now, not in detail. Vinath, yes. And he is also good. This person also good. That's why I give ranking for 1-1. And second ranking is here. So definitely we can conclude by maximum of tomorrow.
Okay.
Today we have today at 7 p.m. we have one interview bus. This is just for basic. But all these people are maximum nearby 2.4, 2.3. This is their current CTC. Orally I spoke, right? I got the CTC from them. This is the only person who is working for 1.65. But Saturday only interview, not today or tomorrow.
Okay.
Nearby 2.65, 6 years experience, but salary is too low. If he is okay, we can take him bus. Otherwise, we can conclude any one of this person.
Sure.
One thing is this. And I checked this one also, bus.
Is it?
Yes. This one. Nothing is here, bus, in our AutoMux. Only patch deployment, I guess.
Software management is also there, no? I was seeing it, it's an old email, so there is an integration available with Fresh Service by default.
Yes.
So
Correct.
just wanted to see how
1
the
or
usage.
2 months back, they launched some integration. But nothing is here, bus, as I see. It's not lagging. Patch management is there. Remote desktop is there. And some kind of automation, the script which we are deploying, right? That is there, bus. No software installation, self-service portal, nothing is there. Session just expired. Because I will reset the password, I will send you. But only 4 tabs, bus. One is dashboard, another one is this software. In software, there is a list of software is there, but we can't able to upload or something. And the patch is there, policy is there, groups is there. We don't have this facility. Remote office is not there. Remote control is there. There is no session recording or something.
Okay.
I will reset the password and I will send it to you, bus. Once it is logged in, I will call you. 1 hour back, I checked it.
If it is logging, just share me the console. We'll try to test with our integration part, how it will be looking with our Fresh Service console itself. Because that's the key thing which I want to confirm.
Okay. But definitely it will not meet all the requirement in Desktop Central. Just to patch operation, fine. Patch and remote control. Even there is no software deployment.
Okay.
But I will reset the password, bus.
Okay. Right.